By the time Maria came around, it was talked about as this baby storm. And seeing what happened with Irma, that what we saw here was that she just dropped like this rug of pretty green leaves on the downstairs driveway, I can't say that I was concerned at all with Maria. And then so here it is, it's the day before, and you start to see the projections that are gonna literally cross the island, and you start to realize that there is no getting out of this. The hurricane itself was nothing that I could have ever imagined. The next morning is everything here is just pelao and broken. It was a far cry from Irma's carpet of pretty green leaves. I remember telling my boys, we're gonna watch her every week, because every week we're gonna see more green, more leaves, and like her, we too will heal and come back from this. La lluvia cae, el río nos guía. La lluvia cae, el río nos guía. La lluvia cae, el río nos guía. La lluvia cae, el río nos guía.
My name is Dilcia Pagan Rivera. I'm one of the former Puerto Rican political prisoners. I was a member of the FALN, and I say that with a lot of honesty, and I'm very proud to say that our organization was able to deal with U.S. imperialism and the colonization of Puerto Rico. I was arrested with 11 comrades. Our position was that we were Puerto Rican prisoners of wars. Why? Because according to international law, if you are part of a war, be it a declared or an undeclared war, and you're captured by your enemy, when you're captured, you have the right to declare yourself a prisoner of war. And that's what we did. We have never changed our position. I'm from East Harlem. I live in Loíza, Puerto Rico. I live here for the last 14 years. My life has not been easy. I've been in freedom now. I was released September 10, 1999. I've been in freedom 18 years. If you look behind you, those are my sculptures. I make lanterns and I make masks. I started this 14 years ago, making masks. Why? I called them reinas and cacicas, queens and chieftains of tribes. Well, I realized that in Puerto Rico, we're known, Loíza's known for the máscara de gigante, and ours are made out of coconut. La máscara de gigantes in Ponce are made out of paper mache, and they're gorgeous, but they're all male images. I am overwhelmed. When I came to my home, this house was devastated. What you see outside today is just a regrowth. Everything was gone. My fences were down. The entrance to the side of my house was a tree that was there was covered. My son had to come with his friends to take all this wood out. I stood in front of my gate and I said, do I go inside? I had to. This whole house was filled with water. The room behind me I was working that as my art workshop It was invaded with water. I had to sit for 6 days. My phone still doesn't work. It works once in a while. I can get some incoming calls, some I don't. And I had a little battery radio, and it was funny because then I realized people would say, "Mira, what's happening?" I said, "Well, I'll let you know. I'll let you know what's happening." I said I became the communication center of Loíza. We have 2,000 families that don't have homes in Loíza. Single women that have children that are living with fucking plastic in their roof. My roof sinks. Water comes down, but I have these buckets that I can pick up water. But my big roof upstairs, I get water, but I'm not drenched. I have a roof. But there are thousands of families that are in Puerto Rico. And I laugh because people are now donating generators, right? But where are the people going to get the money for the gas? The government is not going to provide. FEMA is not going to provide the essence of our people here. The American government has strategically created our situation. We are the epitome. That's why now they call us a colony. Oh my goodness, we've been saying it in the movement for 116 years. That Puerto Rico's a colony. But what do? They put La Junta together, please. That junta has to be destroyed. We don't need the government. They've already controlled 80% of our economy. What more do you want? Our nation is a nation of resistance. We have fought against all imperialistic ventures that they've attempted to do to us. And now I think with the disaster, the overwhelming embellishment of Mother Nature, and I really believe that sometimes Mother Nature comes to open us up, It is said that there's a process of evolution of natural things. If you look, the trees across my house was barren. The third day I went out, the junque looked like sun dunes. And in 2 weeks they were green. Young people need to understand, because I really believe in you guys, because you are the future. You're the present. It's not the future. We need to allow the young people to take over our communities and our movements so that they can have a chance to create a new Puerto Rico. And now, after Irma and Maria, Puerto Rico really needs a new change.
Desde las ondas del mar quedan besos a su orilla. Una mujer de Aguadilla vino a Chicago a cantar.
My name is Marta Rodriguez. I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm an independentista. I believe that Puerto Rico should be free from the U.S. And I sing to some degree. And I use my music to essentially express my political beliefs. My grandfather was a nationalist, and so he was involved in the Nationalist Party, was arrested like many people in 1950 during the Jayuya uprising. Because of the gag law that existed in Puerto Rico at the time of the uprising, many people think that we voted for the so-called Commonwealth state freely and willingly in 1952. But at the time that people were voting for that, there was a gag law in place which made it illegal for anyone to talk about independence. So people didn't reject independence willingly when they couldn't even talk about it. The government here essentially facilitates the policies of the United States in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico has been exploited by the U.S. in different ways. We've been their sweatshop workers. Our country has been used as, to facilitate their aggressions against other countries. So we've been the sort of like springboard for invasions. or the lab for where they're going to test out, their latest war chemical. My level of participation in a lot of things that go on here has always been limited, because it's always been dependent on my having access to someone that will take me to X event. When they had the student strike, I went to the strike, but I could only go there one day, and I sang to the students. But I couldn't even cook for them or with them, because I couldn't get transportation to go back again to do that. So that became a lot worse, like with the hurricane, because now, in addition to a lack of transportation, I had no means, no phone access, no computer access, no means of reaching out to anyone to tell them I would like to participate in a brigade to deliver food to people or to cook food for people. Federation of Teachers had a sit-in at the office of the so-called Secretary of Education, because even schools that were ready, that had been cleaned and where any structural damages to the building had been repaired, even those schools, she insisted on keeping them closed, because since there's an effort towards privatization here of the school, they wanted to prolong, people's frustration with not having their schools open, and a lot of people, thousands of people have left here because they couldn't send their children to school for months. And so the Federation of Teachers had a sit-in to protest that state of affairs. And I couldn't participate in the sit-in because I couldn't even call anyone to let them know that I wanted to go. The limitation of transportation and also communications really made me remember for the first time that, yes, I am blind. And, and these are some of the difficulties that can come up. At some level, it feels a little bit like a failure, because when I moved here in 2006, I moved here with the idea of never having to go back. I was sort of like getting somewhat resigned to that, because at least I had some kind of an online community, and I could do things like translate information into Spanish. But now I don't have that either. I can be more useful being far away from here than staying here. I can do stuff for myself, and to the extent that I can help myself, I can then participate in events that are geared toward helping other people.
Is this okay?
My name is Yasmin Hernandez, Jaming, as Puerto Ricans would say. I am an artist, a human being, a person who right now is just doing everything possible to explore every aspect of love and liberation. And we are here in Moca, Puerto Rico, which is where the universe brought me, because I'm from Brooklyn. But I had never been here before moving here, but this is where I was brought. So we arrived in Puerto Rico from New York City in 2014, in May of 2014, and we moved into this house in October. Everything has been spiritual, the change. Radical changes in my awareness, my consciousness. There were things that I could just never understand about this place without living here. For us, my son didn't sleep from about 12 midnight till 6 in the morning because of the winds and how loud they were. And then Irma left, and we just heard of all the destruction in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico sets itself up as like the place that's going to help our neighbors. So Puerto Rico accepts all these refugees coming in from the neighboring islands. A lot of them are at the hospital in Caguas. People take all the stuff that they didn't use for Irma, like the cans and the gallons of water, drop them off over there. And then by the time Maria comes around, a lot of these things are difficult to come by. It was maybe a day or two before when they started to talk about this hurricane becoming a Category 5. And you're just like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, board a plane and leave? You can't. You're in the middle of this dangerous, risky situation, and you have no choice other than to face it and go through it. That has been the complete theme of my time, my almost 4 years in Puerto Rico. I felt the need to go into the bathroom with my boys, the upstairs bathroom, because it's the only place up here that doesn't have windows or doors facing the exterior. And we lasted about 10 minutes before my husband came to get us out because the window right next to this bathroom had blown out. We had to go down the stairs, but this window, all of this water was coming in from this window, so the stairs were literally like a waterfall. We crossed the hall to my studio, and as soon as we sit down there to wait it out, we didn't realize what was happening. We had no radio. Suddenly it stops, and Ivan goes outside, and he's like, okay, this has to be the eye. He opens the hallway, very dark downstairs, opens the door to the hallway, and it's bright. So we were like, okay, it's the eye, but why is it bright? Where is this light coming in from? And that was through the blown door. When I step out into the hallway, everything is flooded and floating. I have to laugh about this now, is my list, hurricane prepared list for Hurricane Irma. Before I brought them upstairs, I coached them. Your home, this land, is not going to be what you're used to seeing. It's going to be different. It's going to be devastating, like prepping them. We went outside, and our portón, which is this iron gate, it was on the ground, and there was an enormous branch on top of it. It was this overwhelming sense that life as we knew it was over. But within a half hour of waking up to this, 2 men came down the road, one with a chainsaw and one with a machete. They didn't say anything. They just came with these determined, fierce ass looks on their faces. And they stopped in front of our house, and they took that tree branch, and within 5 minutes with the chainsaw and the machete, they just left mulch. And in a few minutes after they leave, my neighbor next door shows up with 35 extensions and a little, light bulb connected to an extension because they were going to power us to her generator. The devastation that was caused by the storm is actually revealing these phenomenal examples of dignity and resilience and liberation in people that didn't believe themselves capable of doing the things that they've managed to do, of surviving the shit that they have survived, of thriving. And what has crystallized in the aftermath of these storms is that we are being called, all of us individually, to rise to this place where we stop relying on others, because it's not just the colonial relationship of Puerto Rico to the United States, but it's also, if I rely on this service to get my water and on this service to get power, there is still a dependency there. When we are just following the motions and taking orders and following orders day to day, we don't have an opportunity to exercise our imagination, our creativity, our innovation. We are able to do that when we are put in a place where our tools are taken or our resources are taken. At least we're told that. And there, with nothing, is where we discover all of the innate tools, wisdom, resources, light that we've always had, but never had the opportunity to see, to claim, to own, and to share and reveal.
Mi nombre es Esperanza Martel. I am a human rights educator, artist, and political activist. And I've been so since the age of 12. I'm just matured into it. I live in New York City and Washington Heights. I was born here in Puerto Rico, 1946, 71 years ago. And I was here until February 1950. En Bayamón, en un pueblo que se llama Atotejas. I have experienced all the ills of capitalism, all the violence, sexual, physical abuse, alcoholism, educational racism, and actually racism of every kind. But you know, this cloud, this of ignorance, what I call, that we want to break through, right? That is created by capitalism, didn't allow me to fully be self-expressed. And I did art. And I was and am, I do art, and I am an amazing organizer. And I think I've organized on every issue. Social justice is my passion. You know, people say I'm a survivor of this, and I say I'm beyond survival. I've gone, and to the point where my work has been with young people, letting them know, you know, basics, life skills, how to make capitalism work and transform it at the same time. So that's basically my life work. My roots are here, and I can feel it. I breathe differently here. My hair is different here. You know, everything is different. And it's interesting because I feel all this and I'm really not part of this world. And I'm really not part of the United States either. I am part of a possibility that I created for myself. You know, I am a dreamer, and I make my dreams a reality. When Irma happened and then Maria happened, I felt the sadness, the deep sadness. I felt the despair. Maria took a scab off of us, llena de gusanos. Maria did not cause the devastation, you know? And that's what I want people to understand. Puerto Rico has been devastated since the Spaniards arrived and they massacred us, right? They committed genocide against the Taínos. And then they brought the enslaved Africans, you know, brilliant people. And then another genocide. Economic devastation is the reason why Maria happened. You know, the level of unemployment in Puerto Rico. They're not talking about that anymore. There's no thinking about this island. It's all about how much money you could take out of it and put in your coffers, in your pockets. You know, and I know we lost a lot of people, and a lot of people have not been found, right? Because of the landslides and those people who are buried. Yes, all that is true. And emotionally, people are devastated because of the shock. You know, it's like you're not expecting something to happen, and shit happens in a way that it hasn't happened before. But people had to go to the streets, and they had to organize themselves and go beyond survival and beyond dependence. Because that's what capitalism does, makes you dependent and tells you you can't do it. Well, guess what? We can do it, we did it, and we will continue to do it. So for me, I don't see the Earth Mother's rage as negative. I think we need the wake-up call.
But the question is, how do we then move into this process of investigating what sustainability would look like?
We need to grow our own food, our land.
We have rich earth, unbelievable. Anything grows in this island.
Even though I was raised in New York, in El Barrio, my father did not feed me stuff from cans. My mother would go to La Marqueta and buy herbs, and we would cook from our real food.
We need to grab this opportunity. We need to grow. We need to go green.
How do we awaken in young people this ancestral passion for planting and growing our own food?
There have been agricultural markets that are economically accessible to the community. That's all been done by different community groups and growers. And that's made a huge difference, especially in times when there was a lot of scarcity in the supermarkets because FEMA wouldn't move its containers.
FEMA is a trip. Because Puerto Rico is a county of the United States, they treat us just like second-class citizens.
What the government here does has absolutely nothing to do with helping anybody.
What we need is a decolonial struggle, but we cannot have decolonization where people are still colonized. We need people to liberate themselves holistically.
And freedom is more than independence. When we talk about freedom, we talk about spirit. Our spirit wants to rise and soar. And that's what freedom is.
Every minute of your life, you have the power. Not only do you have the power, but things here are organized in such a way to rob you of your liberation daily. So you have to practice this. It is an action.
You know how they talk about children being magical thinkers? Well, I'm a magical thinker. And I will die a magical thinker because I believe that we could do anything. We can transform ourselves, our family, our friends, our community, and the world. All we have to do is engage get other people to join you in your dream.
I think as human beings, we have for generations, especially as people of color, as conquered people, we have for generations had to figure out how to survive and thrive in darkness. And so what this thing is, for me, is not necessarily a catastrophe or a tragedy. It's an opportunity to have this island of oppressed people, colonized people, step out in their light.